today on Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas, we're going to make some delicious pasta and Italian meatballs. And the recipe was actually inspired by my mom, the way she used to make her Italian meatballs, but I kind of made it my own. So I'm going to share my recipe with you today on Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas. All right, well, first of all, I thought I'd show you some of the ingredients that we're going to need today to make our delicious Italian meal. Of course, you need some fettuccine noodles. I have 1 pound of ground beef. You'll need some eggs, some cut cherry tomatoes. That's approximately half of a white onion, tomato sauce, of course, extra virgin olive oil, Parmesan cheese, garlic, pepper, Italian breadcrumbs. I like using Progresso breadcrumbs, Italian breadcrumbs, Italian seasoning. We have onion powder, garlic powder, basil leaves, salt, of course, and you'll need a bowl, of course, to mix everything in. And also, this is some Parmesan and mozzarella cheese that I grated, and that's approximately a cup. And then we definitely need some parsley. And so those are some of the ingredients that you're going to need, and let's start putting it together and make that Italian delicious pasta and meatballs. Okay, so we're back, and how many of you ever had like Sunday sauce? Maybe your mom or grandmother used to make Sunday sauce. Even if you weren't Italian, it's possible that, Sunday's usually the day for a good Italian meal. And so this, like I said, this recipe was inspired by the way my mom used to cook, the way she used to make her meatballs, but I kind of made it my own, and this is my own recipe. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. So like I put in here, in my little bowl, I have 1 pound of ground beef. I'm gonna put one egg in there. I'm gonna add some of Italian seasoning. Basically, how much you just wanna kind of cover the top. I'm very informal in my measurements. I kind of do things by taste. So usually if I say just cover the top, that's probably good. It'll probably be enough for this. Garlic powder, again, cover the top. Use your judgment. If you're like somebody that likes a lot of garlic, then put extra garlic. This is onion powder, once again, cover the top. I'm going to add my onions. This is a half of a white onion. So let me get my wooden spoon here. Add my white onions to my ground beef. And then I'm also going to add my cheese. This is my cheese. And this is the way my mom used to do it. My hands are clean. Very important for you to wash your hands, but I'm just going to mix it with my hand a little bit. Just like that. Squeeze it all in there. I'm gonna add my breadcrumbs. Now this is probably going to be about a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. I'm gonna eyeball it. That's how much breadcrumbs you want to use with yours. Now, if you're cooking for, this meal is actually good for 4 people or 2 hungry people. And as far as the amount of ground beef and the fettuccine, so, you have to use your judgment as far as, how much of the ingredients you need depending on how many people you're cooking for. But there is my breadcrumbs in there. And then, let me wash my hands really quick. Sorry, I'm off the camera. All right. And so, let me see here. I'm gonna add some pepper. Now, once again, I like a lot of pepper. And then I'm gonna add a little salt. Okay. And then once again, I'm gonna use my hands again. I'm gonna mix that up. Now, one thing that is important when you make your meatballs is that it is very well mixed together. So again, that's why I like using my hand, just the way my mom used to do it. And it's also important with your onions to dice them. Make sure that they're very small If you're someone that likes big chunks of onions in your meatballs, then sure, you can leave that. But I like doing mine very fine. I think it gives a finer taste. And so that is that. And I'm gonna add my parsley. Mix that again. Mix that in there. Oh, look at that. You know what I love about Italian food is that the colors. I love the colors in Italian food. The red, the green, you know, white. So good. All right, add some more. Now, don't forget that the parsley, like I said, I cut up approximately, I guess it was about half a cup or so, maybe a little bit more. Don't forget this is for a pound of ground beef. All right, so I got that in there. Let me wash my hands once again. All right, so I got my meatball mixture done, and let me, because I'm the cameraman again, let me bring this over just a little bit so you can see what I have here. I'm heating up my water for my pasta, and in here I already prepared my sauce, cooking my sauce. Now you can use, you know, if you're someone that wants to use, let's say, ragu sauce or whatever, you know, you can do that. This one I actually made my own sauce, and I used Hunt's canned tomato sauce. I also put in there basil, Italian seasoning, garlic, cheese, and I just cooked that up, let it simmer for about an hour or so. You want a really nice, good, thick sauce. Sometimes you hear people cooking sauce all day long, and you can do that. But that's how usually I do it. Salt and pepper, of course, I add in there. All right, so what we're gonna show you next is how we're going to cook our meatballs, and so stay tuned. Okay, so we're back, and now we're going to make our meatballs, and I'm gonna use some extra virgin olive oil and put some in the pan. Basically, how much do you want? You want it just to kind of cover the pan, bottom of the pan, not fully, just a little bit. And then I'm going to add some garlic. I'm gonna heat up my oil first. This is probably on a medium heat, and kind of twirl that around a little bit. And I'm gonna add some diced garlic. You want some, actually minced garlic. And I'm gonna add a little bit to the pan. Usually you wanna wait a little bit for it to like hear that little sizzle, but I think this will be fine for now. How much? It depends on how much garlic you like. I like a lot of garlic, so there is a lot of garlic at the bottom of this pan. And so you can see it right here. And I just cook that up a little bit. I'm gonna put the flame just a little bit higher. And like I said, this is a really good meal to cook for Sunday afternoon. Everybody's a little Italian, let's face it. And so it's good to kind of like enjoy different foods and different cultures, and food is part of culture. So I think it's super important. Now, your meatballs. When you form your meatball, I already made my meatballs. Now it depends on the size of the meatball that you like. These are how I made mine. They're a little bit larger than the average size, but I like a bigger meatball, just like I like a thicker noodle. And so you're just gonna get some in your hand, and you're going to, remember your hand's gotta be super clean, and then you're going to twirl it around, just like that in your hand. Okay, kind of make a ball. That's about the size that you want. Okay, and can you hear that garlic? So I'm gonna lower the temperature just a little bit, and I'm gonna add my meatballs now to the pan. Just like that. Now, I am going to kind of make everything into that one pan, just like we did if you watched our segment on fried rice, it was basically a one-pan dish. And that's what we're gonna do with our meal here, our Italian meal. We're gonna make basically everything in this pan. I'm gonna put up the heat just a little bit now. And my sauce is still simmering here. And I'm gonna cook up my fettuccine noodles and basically just follow the instructions on the box as far as how to cook your noodles. It's very easy, it's not hard at all. Now with our meatballs, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put up the flame. You want it on a medium flame. And once the bottom gets a little brown, you can see it as it's cooking, then you want to turn it. One tool that I highly suggest that you get in your kitchen if you don't already have it are tongs. Tongs are the indispensable cooking tool these days, and it's super important to have them because they help out so much with cooking. Instead of trying to figure, using a fork or something like that. So I'm gonna move these around with my tongs. Remember, you want the bottom to get a little brown. Once you see it's brown, then you want to turn them over. And now, how long do you cook meatballs? Well, really, it probably is about 15 minutes or so. You want to test it, just take one and cut one open so you can see. You don't want any pink inside your meatball. So once you see that it's totally brown inside, then you know it's done. So I'm gonna say an average of 15-20 minutes or so. Could be a little bit longer depending. Like, these are bigger meatballs, so it might take a little bit longer. But anyway, that's how you'll test it. Just cut it open, take one, cut it open, and see if it's ready. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, so I wanted to show you the meatballs really quick. I'm gonna move the camera so you can see it. All right, so, get my tongs here. This is the color that you want. I don't know if you can see that, see how it's brown? So once it's like this, then you want to turn them over, and you can hear that noise, that sizzling noise. Turn those over. That's why you need those tongs. I'm gonna lower the heat just a little bit. You don't want it to be splashed with oil. And there you go. See that? Oh, perfect color actually. Really good. All right, awesome. And you know what I love is when the garlic gets real brown. Oh, it tastes so good with it. Okay, we'll be back. All right, so we're back and our meatballs are cooking, and I just wanted to show you quickly. Let me get I don't want to burn my hand. This is the color. It's looking really good. I did cut into one and I saw just a little bit of pink, so I'm gonna let it cook a little bit longer. I am going to cover it. It cooks a little bit faster when it's covered. And once again, my flame is on medium. Sorry for the camera shake. Anyway, and we're still cooking our pasta. Pasta takes about 13 minutes or so to cook. And our sauce is heating up. It's still simmering, yum, yum, yum. So anyway, we're gonna put it all together in just a second. Okay, so our pasta is almost done. So good. And then let's take a look at our meatballs. Wow. Oh, wow, that looks really good. Oh gosh, it smells so good too. I'm gonna remove the lid. And I'm just going to do a little test. Cut open one meatball. Oh yeah, it looks perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right, so I'm going to remove my meatballs, transfer them to a plate. And actually what I'll be doing is putting the meatballs back in. after I do a couple of fun things. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all these drippings in here, all the garlic and the oil. And see, the color of the meatballs, that's exactly what you want. Let me kind of move the camera so you can see. See, it's like a brown, dark brown. You don't want them black, but it's a good color. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna pick one up and show you really quickly. See that? That's the color you want. Look at that. Oh, it looks so good, and it smells fantastic. All right, so with my drippings in here, still have the oil in there and the garlic. I'm gonna get my cherry tomatoes. Now this is the part that I kind of made up myself, and it's just gonna add some more flavor. That's Chrissy Snow barking. She's in the other room. She's smelling the food. She's saying, I'm hungry. And so I'm putting the cherry tomatoes at the bottom of my pan. I'm gonna let that cook for a little bit. I'm gonna sprinkle it with a little salt and a little pepper. All right. And I'm gonna put the lid on that, and I'm gonna let that cook for approximately 5 minutes or so, and then you're gonna see what's gonna happen. Okay, so we're back, and now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to remove the lid and get a fork. I'm just gonna stir my cherry tomatoes around, and it's picking up all those drippings, and oh, it smells so good. It really does. And the reason why I'm adding my cherry tomatoes is because I want my sauce to kind of have a little bit of those tomatoes in there that I can really taste. And it's the texture that I really like, to be quite honest. So now I already cooked my sauce. This is probably over an hour it's been cooking. I'm going to add it to my pan. Now don't forget, my pan has all those drippings from the meatball in there, and the garlic, the cherry tomatoes. Look at that. And my sauce is thick. That's what you want. I'm gonna put this in the sink. And now I'm going to stir my sauce that's in this one pan with the cherry tomatoes. Oh my, it's so good. This is pure heaven. Pure heaven. Italian food and Mexican food are my two favorites. And then after that comes some German and Hungarian food. But Italian is right up there. I mean, I think it's my favorite, to be quite honest. And then comes the Mexican, so sorry, Yvonne. But I'm telling you, it's so good. And don't forget, in my sauce, I had a basil leaf. I added some salt and pepper, garlic, oregano, Italian seasoning. So all those delicious flavors, and and I also added some cheese, by the way. I added a little Parmesan cheese. That's another thing that I do. I love adding cheese to my sauce and to my meatballs. I just love cheese. And I'm gonna stir this up. Oh, this looks so good. And what I wanna do is I'm gonna let this cook for another, I don't know, 2 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna put the cover on it, and then I'm going to add my pasta and my meatballs, and then it should be done. Okay, so welcome back. All right, so this is our final segment, and I'm going to remove the lid and stir up my sauce once again. Oh, like I said, it smells so good. And I love how my cherry tomatoes are combining with the sauce. It's gonna add that texture that I just want and need. I love food. Okay, so now what's left is I'm gonna get my fettuccine noodles. Now remember, this is entitled spaghetti and meatballs. Well, these are not spaghetti noodles, these are fettuccine noodles. And like I said, the reason why I like using fettuccine noodles is because it's a thicker noodle. But you can use spaghetti, of course. All right, so I'm gonna get my spaghetti, and I'm just going to add that. I'm gonna add my spaghetti. into that pot, get my tongs, and I'm going to just toss that fettuccine noodles, not spaghetti noodles, fettuccine noodles. Toss that in there and make sure I get every single noodle coated with that delicious sauce. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just love Sunday sauce. Okay, here we go. Excellent. I love how that looks. Okay, I'm gonna put that in here. Now, the last thing to do is we're gonna add the meatballs back in there. Now you can just serve them on the side if you want. I'm just gonna put it all back in here so everything gets heated up. And I'm just gonna lay it on top of my noodles, just like that. Wow. And the very last thing is some more Parmesan cheese. I'm just gonna sprinkle that on top. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Now, who would not want an Italian meal like this? Here we go. Look at that. Can you see that? So good. Well, now the final taste test. Let's see if I can put the camera right here. All right, get my fork. I'll take a little bit of my meatball. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. A little bit of my fettuccine noodles. Oh my god. This is my happy dance. Oh, so good. Oh my gosh, I can taste every flavor. Oh, so good. You gotta try it. Let me know. Leave a comment if you can. And once again, happy cooking with Yvonne Douglas. Ciao. Next time on Happy Cooking with Yvonne Douglas, Yvonne Douglas will show us how to make a Tex-Mex favorite, taco soup. So stay tuned.